Я предлагаю вам внимательно посмотреть это видео. В нем очень многое объясняется. Причем объясняется, посмотрите, это все-таки люди нейтральные, но люди, которые разбираются. И особенно мне понравилась реакция ведущего. Все-таки важно, когда человек не орет свою точку зрения, не пытается ее насадить, а пытается разобраться. Вот это, кстати, отличительная особенность. Потому что когда вот эти крикуны орут и не дают объяснить нормально позицию, рассказать, дать данные. Но люди орут, знаете, задают вопрос ради вопроса и потом не дают ответить. Посмотрите, есть таких много видео. Вот этот человек, он именно пытается разобраться. И это важно. Посмотрите видео до конца. Почитайте. Если вы по-английски не говорите, почитайте перевод. Я думаю, там все понятно.
When you're killing 30,000 innocent civilians in response to something that killed 1,200 innocent civilians and you're continuing to bomb an area into oblivion, that is at least the steps of genocide or a form of genocide.
So when you say 30,000 civilians, it's not 30,000 civilians that have been killed, though.
How many thousands have been killed?
So according to Gaza Health Ministry, which is run by Hamas, the number they have is 32,000, but they don't distinguish between Hamas and civilians.
How many members of Hamas are there?
40,000, something like that. I don't think the number is known, but it's tens of thousands. So Hamas says 32,000 people have been killed, civilians and soldiers. Israel says 13,000 soldiers have been killed by Israel. So let's not doubt either number. They could both be inflated. But if both of those numbers are accurate, which they may or may not be, that would be 13,000 soldiers killed, 19,000 civilians killed, which for urban combat in the Middle East is a very normal ratio. It's very distinct from genocide, because genocide is when you're trying to maximize civilian casualties. I think Israel, however imperfectly, is doing the opposite. They're trying to minimize civilian casualties.
That's interesting.
This is the way I would put it, succinctly. If you ask the question, what is unique about this war? What is different about this war than all other wars? It's not the civilian death toll. The ratio of combatants to civilians is, I think it's better than the American armies was when we got ISIS out of Mosul. That was like 10,000 civilians dead to kill 4,000 ISIS. This is 19,000 civilians dead to kill 13,000. What's unique about this war, unlike every other war that I could think of, is you have an army in Hamas that has perfected the art of embedding itself and meshing itself with civilians so that you cannot hit them without hitting the people around them. Other armies have done this, but none have perfected it to the extent that Hamas has. And yes, I agree with all of the absolute tragedy and suffering of the Palestinian people, but what creates that is the way Hamas fight. And either we can say one of two things. We can either say Israel doesn't have a clean shot and they have to let Hamas get away with it because it's too much to bear. But then we are essentially creating a situation where terrorists have found the perfect solution, which is that you can cross the border, go house to house slaughtering your enemies, and then hide behind your own people and they can do nothing about it. It's a perfect strategy. Can we live in a world where we allow that to be an acceptable strategy? I don't think so. And it's very ugly to watch. It's heartbreaking, and I completely understand why people don't think the way I think when they see the videos. I completely get it. But I don't think we can actually live in a world where that's allowed to be a strategy.
I appreciate your perspective. I see what you're saying. You clearly know more about it than I do.
Если вам понравилось мое видео, пожалуйста, поставьте лайк, напишите комментарий, подпишитесь на канал, распространяйте понравившееся вам видео.